Zionism. Praise Allah, honors to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, honors to Brother Marcus Messiah Garvey Bay, honors to the past, present, and future leaders of the Moorish Science of America, honors to all those who give honors where honors is due, and where honors is given and honors is received. The name of the show today is very important. We have a group of people out there who think that living here in the United States of America, a group of people feel like they're obligated to claim something that does not belong to them, and they feel like they know it better than. But what people fail to realize is that when you're dealing with a Washington demonized corporation, we're dealing with an entity that shows hatred towards a group of Asiatic people, from people who are exiled in their own land, such as the Moorish Americans, who are classified as Negro, Black, Colored, Latino, Chicano, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Costa Rican, and all the names that allude to slavery. When we understand the dynamic of this injustice, we understand the hatred that comes along with it. We understand the state of mind of people that are of hatred, that want to classify themselves as white. We need to understand, family, that you can't call someone something that they're truly not. Whether the information was passed down from generation to generation, or people choose to classify themselves as. So what we need to understand in our society, that we cannot call people what they want to be called, their specific adjectives or their acronyms or their pronouns or anything that identifies them as greater than a group of people, even though that these particular so-called Europeans are so-called white people who are truly Europeans, who are of Caucasian descent. We need to understand that we are here to multiply and reproduce ourselves. But the problem is, when we have a high-power society that only caters to the people who teach the hate, that indoctrinates the hate, that teach you something other than what you need to be classified yourself as, and they put these things on applications all the time, but we overlook what the true meaning of what these words mean. When we look over these words and we ignore what they truly mean, we fail to understand that we're being declassified and denationalized according to who we truly are, but we're being classified as something else, because we have been taken over by the British Parliament and the group of people who are being funded by the Rothschild Rockefellers, the same Jewish community, or the same Hebrew Israelites, or the same Roman Catholic or Italian society that is also being funded as well, to keep this hate going, to keep this rhetoric going, to keep all this falsehood going. And they're all connected, and people fail to realize that. When you start understanding that a group of Europeans, there's over 95% of the people who are European or Caucasian descendant who are with the so-called white power structure. And you got the rest of the percentage who are not. So I need my brothers and sisters out there to understand the injustice that's already been inflicted upon our people. And the Jim Crow era have never came to a halt, to a cease, because we're still suffering these same incriminations and same injustices and same inequality that we deserve as constitutional American citizens, but we're being denationalized as American citizens. So they want to pump all these lies and deceit, talking about, yeah, Black American this, Latino American, and blah 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 blah. You cannot put an ethnicity that is already being marked upon a group of people to abstract nationality of their true national origin, but they'll give them a sub name and a subculture and a tie to America, which is definitely a misnomer. This is a form of miseducation. This is a form of indoctrination. You cannot sit here and tell me that the American people are so-called white people who are descendants of Europe, who ancestors are colonists, and they're part of the Albert Pike people, which is the Ku Klux Klan, is the same ones who terrorize the people, regardless of what your nationality is, what your ethnicity is. If you're not with their agenda, they're against you. But these same ones are being funded because they follow the Masonic order, as I said in my previous shows, that a lot of people fail to understand but overlook. You cannot overstand something if you can't understand it. How could you overlook something and be an overseer on something, but you have no knowledge of understanding? You have not come out of the dead mind syndrome of being classified as a second-class citizen when, according to the organic constitution, there's no such thing as a second-class citizen. If the so-called European marked the people who are indigenous here as Indian, whether Native American, I don't understand those names. Negro, Black, Colored, Latino, Chicano, Hispanic. It just goes on and on and on. When people start talking about, oh, the Chinese, they got their culture, the Japanese, they got their culture, the people of different nations of Africa, they got their culture, the brown, the black, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, are you listening to what this joker is saying right now? Are you still listening to what this clown is saying right now? Because how are you going to sit here talking about nationality and all of a sudden now bring ethnicity into the same conversation? The people who have ethnicity, who lack of nationality, lack of the true citizenship as an American citizen. When my so-called brothers and sisters out there who classify themselves as these ethnicities, they tend to lose focus on what is valid and what is truly important. You can sit here and learn the math, the science, all you want, the history. You can sit here and learn all that stuff all you want. But guess what? At the end of the day, you still are lost. You're a lost soul. That means someone has depleted your family of nationality, your descent flag, and your descent name, and gave you Negro, Black, and Colored. But you still fail to understand that you can't even look at a black piece of paper and put that look at that black piece of paper and put that towards your skin complexion and say that you're black. We're taking it literally. Forget what color the hair is. That's not important. Your hair can be black, but it doesn't make you a black person. Where's the black nation at then? Where's the Negro nation at? Where's the Negro, Black, Colored, Afro-American, African-American nation? Where is it? It doesn't exist. It's a fictitious name that was given by a fictitious entity of the District of Columbia. Or should I say, the demonized corporation of Washington. 10 square mile radius between Maryland and Virginia. But yeah, instead they have that Pentagon. And that Pentagon, if you draw those lines together, it's actually a 5-pointed star, which is in conjunction or related to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So when can you really recognize who you truly are? Because it's already been identity theft, and the United States government corporation don't care about nobody but themselves. And they have already committed grand larceny, and they committed so much hate crime against the indigenous people who classify themselves as Negro, blacks, and colors, have no idea that being called these names or name calling or misrepresenting someone as an ethnicity and not recognize them for their nationality is also slander and defamation of character. But yet, still, people don't see that. They're black and they're proud, and Black Lives Matter, and none of that stuff really truly matters, to be honest with you. So, what are you going to do to change your condition? What are you going to do to better your condition? How are you going to get the source of information, and what are you going to study? These are the questions you must ask yourself. But I'm going to have to play a clip for you all right quick. This is very, very, very valid, very important. And I'm going to let y'all check this joint out right here, because this is something that's very important. I got 2 clips for y'all, so I need y'all to take heed to what was being said. So I'm going to start off with this first clip.
Cleanse the indigenous population out of existence. Kill them on a scale that has hardly been equaled. And refer to them as savages. That's an achievement. This continent literally ethnically cleansed the indigenous population out. This continent literally ethnically cleansed the indigenous population out of existence. Kill them on a scale that has hardly been equaled, and refer to them as savages. That's an achievement. Who's the savage? The first time I encountered this was in a little town in Massachusetts called Deerfield. It's a reconstruction of what that little town looked like in colonial America. And in front of each house is a plaque that explains something about this house. And then description. On the 18th of October of 1702, the savages attacked. The first time I saw this, the savages, you come in here, destroy everything these people have, and they are the savages. That's an interesting move. It is, you know? I hadn't thought of that before. Think about it. This continent literally ethnically cleansed the indigenous population. This continent literally ethnically cleansed the indigenous population out of existence. Kill them on a scale.
So, what this is referring to, family, this is referring to a clip that was being played regarding European colonists fighting up against the so-called Indians, or they call them savages because they're not going according to their plan or whatever. And I find it pretty interesting that no one seems to catch on to what the so-called whitey or white man or woman does is wrong, but they're always right, and because they're privileged. But I got another clip for y'all, so y'all need to check this out right quick.
More than writing is more than man. Should first of all teach our children who they are. See, if you don't know who you are, then you will not know what to do with your life. And if you don't know what to do with it, then you won't know how to achieve your goals. So Alex Haley raised the question of who am I? And he asked his mother, father, aunts, and his uncles who he was. Some people told Alex they were Negro. Some told Haley they were colored. Others told Alex they were black. Some said they were Afro-American. Some told Alex they were African. And lastly, some said American. Now, we have the only children and some adults that give 6 different answers to a very simple question like who am I? Again, you cannot teach a child that is, first of all, not know who he is. It's more important than reading, math, and science. So we began to ask ourselves, why do Germans call themselves Germans? Why do Chinese call themselves Chinese? And we were told there's a land called German. There's a land called China. So let's go back to a world map. Germans are Germans, land called Germany. Chinese are Chinese, land called China. Let's go to a world map. Is there a place in the world called Negro land? What about color land? What about black land? What about Afro-American land? There's only 2 answers left, Africa and America. But be honest, what comes to most of our children is mile in the heat of with Africa? Tarzan, run around, no clothes on, be honest. And what about America, red, white, and blue, and apple pie? That's because this word right here, which is nothing but his story. You didn't know that? It's all history is somebody's story. You know what I'm talking about. Columbus didn't discover America. He was lost. And the Indians discovered him. And Abraham Lincoln didn't free any slaves. Well, no way to look at it, my story is very, very close to the word mystery. And I want to clear up a couple of mysteries right now. The book is titled Great People, Past and Present. What happened to a people that built the pyramids and yet now live in projects? What happened? What happened to a people that were the first to read and write, using a term called hieroglyphics, and yet now can no longer read or write? In essence, what happened to a people in terms of Egypt? It's amazing. King Tut came to America, and we didn't realize that King Tut was one of us. Somebody mysteriously took Egypt out of Africa and placed it in the Middle East. Now, how do you take a country out of a continent and then call it something else? As a result, we didn't realize that Egypt is in Africa. Egyptians are Africans, and we were the ones that built those pyramids. But my new history book, Lessons from History, Celebration in Blackness, for elementary, and there's also one for high school. You see, we are concerned about some issues here. The first one being, where do you start? You see, we have found that many black youth are embarrassed talking about the history. The Jews, now about the Holocaust, but us about slavery. I think one reason is where you start. The law says where you start will determine where you end up. Now, where do you want to start our children? If they started in 1619, they start on a plantation. That means they'll probably end up in a ghetto. But if you start 4 million years ago on a pyramid, they end up being free. Now, where do you want to start? On a plantation or on a pyramid? Because depending upon where you start will determine where they end up. Our first problem is we've been started in the wrong place. And you cannot discuss 4 million years in 28 days. Black History Month. Now, I'm glad we got the month. It used to be a week. But you can't discuss 4 million years in 28 days. It's simply not enough time. And then the other issue, what are we going to discuss? You see, if all we're going to discuss are names and dates and events, then you can do that in about 28 days. When was King born? 29. When did he go to D.C.? 63. When did he get the Nobel Prize? 64. When did he die? 68. That will never change. But if you want to make it relevant, you connect the past with the present and with the future. In other words, what were our mistakes? Because the mistakes you want to avoid, and the strengths you want to reinforce. I'll say it clearly. Those that don't know their history, don't know their mistakes, are destined to repeat it over and over and over and over again. Our children need to know their story, and it did not start here.
This is the knowledge that I want you to have.
Education is more than reading, more than writing, is more than math. So first of all,
well, family, that's a little clip I had to play for y'all because this was very important. This goes back to everything we're teaching in Moorish science and Moorish culture, but I need y'all to really take heed to what everything's being said. So there's no black economics or nothing like that. When that time already happened was when we started building, started having our own stuff. The Europeans came back and started terrorizing our land, and they burned down our homes and all this other stuff. This happened when my great auntie was around. But I need y'all to understand that the reason why so-called Negro blacks and colors don't have anything is, number one, because Europeans came back and they struck back on us. They struck back on us and took the land that does not belong to them, even though they say it's theirs. I want my land back.
teach our children who they are. See, if you do.
So if you don't teach your people who they are, they're gonna be lost in the sauce. So Got one more.
It has an ability to transduce electrical energy. Can you imagine this? It has this incredible ability to hold on to and transduce and manipulate electrons, electronic energy, and photons, photonic energy. It's a fascinating molecule. Melanin pigment, right? Right. Is so unbelievable, George. They use it in computer chips now because it has an ability to transduce electrical energy. Can you imagine this? It has this incredible ability to hold on to and transduce and manipulate electrons, electronic energy, and photons, photonic energy. It's a fascinating molecule. Melanin pigment, right? Right.
So all the stuff that's going on right now, a lot of people are just straight oblivious. They don't care about human trafficking. Human trafficking been going on for I don't know how many years, but all of a sudden they're speaking upon it. They're speaking on child abduction. But it's about time for me to take a pause right quick. It's about that time to start getting educated, family. You don't even know who you are until someone comes up and tells you that your nationality is Moorish American and you're quick to deny it. You're so influenced by the slaveholder teachings to the point where you accept everything that was given to you and you can't think of nothing else. You can't see beyond the cover up, the wool over your eyes, the blindfold over your eyes, and you can't even see nothing else but black and white. And what I mean by that is when you call yourself black or white, you tend to lose focus on goals instead of consuming luxury. Like I said, I'm gonna take a pause right quick for the people in the chat. Got two. This message: Heaven high, peace and blessings, Brianna, Oliver, peace and blessings, Isaiah, Falls, Heaven high, Islam, peace and blessings to you all. Got one like on the channel right here, but we really gotta start thinking, family. And the only way we're gonna start thinking is start being around people who have the source of information that's valid. And if you go and you challenge them, you challenge the people on what they say, then you understand what the difference is with what's actually truly going on and why do we suffer greatly. So everything's given to you.
Dale needs I think it's best to leave this to the boys.
And we tend to follow social media and be hypnotized by their society of how we should dress and how we should look, and all in all we have in low self-esteem. So there's got to be a lot of change going on, but there's got to be a lot of change with the state of mind and the thinking. And if you don't change that, nobody can change it for you but you. You have to be your beacon light. You have to be a student before you become a teacher. In order to become a teacher, you have to be a student first. Don't just think you're just going to come in with some Johnny-come-lately demonstration and think you know it all, but then again, yet you have the understanding of what truth supposedly is, and what your truth is what matters, and it truly matters not. So why do we put up with this behavior? Why do we allow ourselves to be indoctrinated with all this falsehood, but yet we can't do no thinking for ourselves? With this particular falsehood leads a lot of division to problems. You go out and club and party and get drunk and get smoke this thing in the Swisher Sweets and stuff, and you begin on your downers and stuff like that, and all of a sudden, now you claim that you high. But when a person is exalted in thoughts, then they can't do no harm to the brothers and sisters who they truly love. But yet and still, these particular downers are to stimulate the mind, but yet and still, this activates the carnal appetites of what to eat, what not to eat, and so on and so on. If you can understand that, then you need to understand where you get the children at. You can take your children and take them somewhere and get a good education. But if you don't teach them nationality and culture, then that means you're just a tree without roots. You're a tree without branches, a tree without leaves. You're just a dead entity, a tree stump. You know what I mean? That's all you are, a tree stump. You have no knowledge of self.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Peace.
Safe going home.
Yeah, safe travels. Peace and love. So when you decide to better your condition, that's when you become enlightened. But it all starts with the train of thinking, what you eat and what you drink. How much rest do you get? Are you getting proper rest? These are the things you need to ask yourself. And if you don't do it, you need to start like as soon as possible. Because pretty soon we're not going to be having none of these things. All these things are going to change and pass away. When are you going to make an effort to try to, or when are you going to make an effort to do something other than what you're so used to, accustomed to, or what you've been hearing about lies and deceit? But yet and still you come on my channel, but you're not reaping the benefits. That's a question you need to ask yourself. So, with that being said, Islam. Yo, DJ Cool, cut that, please. Islam. So, we're going to have to cut this live short today. And giving you all peace and love greetings. And time to close this out. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day. Through His Holy Prophet, Jawali. Ameen. Peace and love, family. I pray that whatever it is that you all are going through, I pray that you conquer it in the name of peace. Islam. Peace and love.